Hi guys, and welcome to pwaacademics. Pwaacademics is a series where I will touch on some of the subjects of the World Scholars Cup. I did a study with me video that is technically kind of part of this series because I did talk about art. In this episode, we will be touching on special area, which is unsolved mysteries, and I'll be talking about some of the topics that I find interesting, go more in depth about each of these topics. Before I get started with this video, I want to talk about the project I'm doing for the Hate Global Round. I'm making like a compilation of letters, and I would really like it if you guys submitted, so I'll put the link in the description for you to submit to my project. I really don't have that many responses, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys contributed. Let's get started with the video. So the first thing I'll be talking about is the Johari window. So the Johari window was created by Joseph Lutz and Harrington Ingham. It was created to help people understand their relationship with themselves and with others. So in the Johari window, there are 4 different panels. There is the open area, which is known to both self and others. An example would be, I know I'm a girl and other people also know I'm a girl. And the next area is the blind spot, which is known to others but not to yourself. So an example would be, oh, people think I'm selfish but I don't know that I'm selfish. And then the other panel is the hidden area or facade, which is known to self but not to others. An example would be, I know I have a cat but I haven't told anyone. Yeah, that's a weird example, but I couldn't think of one off the top of my head. And the next panel / area is the unknown, which is no one knows what it is. So it would be like, are we living in a simulation? What is out there in space? And this is also related to that Donald Rumsfeld quote.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't.
Next, I'll be talking about the Nazca geoglyphs, which is also called the Nazca lines. So the Nazca geoglyphs are located in Peru, are located 200 kilometers south of Lima, which is the capital of Peru. There are hundreds of geoglyphs carved into the plateau, and more than 70 geoglyphs are of local flora and fauna, such as monkeys, fish, hummingbirds, and humans. In 1553, Spanish conquistador Pedro Theo de Leon published an account of his experience in the New World, and he talked about how he went to the Nazca Desert and saw marks in the ground, which are the Nazca lines, and he believed that these lines were man-made. The interesting thing about these geoglyphs is how big they were. They measured from 100 meters to 1 kilometer in width, and you could only see the full scale of the geoglyphs if you were up in the sky. So people were wondering, why make these geoglyphs so big if you can't see them unless you're in the sky? And back when these geoglyphs were made, we did not have technology to go up in the sky and look at these geoglyphs. According to conspiracy theorist Martin St. George, the only reason that these glyphs are so large are to entertain higher beings. A quote from him states that dozens of arrowhead-type pointers provide directional guidance, so this higher creature was not only in the sky but also flying through the air. And these creatures and higher beings he's talking about are aliens. And the nearby town of Tiwanaku, where Pupuku is also located, they had depictions of sky gods, which are similar to pottery made by the Nazca people. So people believe that the aliens came to Tiwanaku and the tales of these alien gods spread to the Nazca people, but some details were left out. People believe that the lines were carved to attract aliens. The Nazca people were jealous that Tiwanaku had this cultural boom when the aliens came, and they wanted something like that, so they tried to attract the aliens to come to them. This cultural boom in Tiwanaku is confirmed by archaeologists, and St. George believed this boom was because of these aliens. Ancient alien theorist Eric von Daniken suggests that the lines were actually used as signals and landing strips for alien spaceships, just like an airport. According to W.J. Rink, W.J. Bartel of McMaster University, the lines were carved by Nazca civilization sometime in between the first half of the first millennium CE, so like 500 CE or whatever. Peruvian archaeologist Maria Rica disproved von Daniken's theory by saying that the ground was too soft for the aliens to be able to land onto the ground, and she believed that the Nazca geoglyphs were made to help figure out where the sun would rise at any time of year. Rosa La Safarona at the Institute of Methodology and Environmental Analysis believes that the lines are part of a system of irrigation known as maquias. So this would help Nazca people survive in the desert, and the spiral geoglyphs draw water to the surface and help support agriculture. And she believes that some of the other geoglyphs are just work of art. Some other sources state that the whole theory that you can only see geoglyphs from the sky is actually disproven, because you can see the geoglyphs from nearby hills. Next, we will be talking about the case of D.B. Cooper, which there is a BuzzFeed Unsolved episode, and I have a whole playlist of YouTube videos talking about these social area subjects, and I'll link them in the card here somewhere. On November 24th, 1971, a man going by the name of Dan Cooper bought a ticket at the Portland International Airport to Seattle. When he was on the plane, he was just relaxing, you know, drinking bourbon and soda and smoking a cigarette. And then shortly after takeoff, he handed a note to the flight attendant, and then she moved him to a seat closer to the emergency exit door. The flight attendant didn't actually look at the note at first. She just thought, oh, it's just some guy giving me his number or whatever. But then he leaned into her and whispered, "Miss, you better look at that note. I have a bomb." We don't actually know what the note said, but the note itself stated that it had a bomb. The flight attendant asked to see the bomb, and then after he showed her quietly, he wanted $200,000 in negotiable American currency, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck in Seattle once they had landed. So the flight attendant told the pilot, you know, as you should, and they circled around in the air for 2 hours to try and get all of his requests. And the flight itself was only supposed to be a 30-minute flight. So once they landed, they let all the passengers out. They gave Cooper all of his stuff, and then he told his plan to the cockpit crew and the pilot to go on a course to Mexico City. And on this plane to Mexico City, there are only 5 other people: the flight attendant, the cockpit crew, and the pilot. They're all just hanging out in the cockpit of the plane when suddenly a flashing light went off, meaning that the emergency exit door had opened, and they looked around the plane and they realized Dan Cooper was not there. This indicates that he jumped out of the plane using the parachute. Ever since then, no one has heard of him. There's been no evidence of him, and no one knows what happened to him. The FBI actually found Cooper's black clip-on tie, his tie clip, 2 of the 4 parachutes, and 1 had been opened. Ever since then, there's no word of Dan Cooper or D.B. Cooper, and that's just one of the fascinating things about this mystery, is what happened to this man. Did he die jumping out of the plane? Did he run away and become a fugitive? No one knows. The next case I'll be talking about is the Torred man, and I actually read this case like years ago. So in July of 1945, a man was at the Japanese airport claiming he was from the country Torred. He looked European and said his country was in Europe, and everyone was really confused because everyone's like, obviously Torred's not a country, where are you actually from? But he's like, I'm from Torred. He gave his passport, and he had money from several European countries, and his passport looked like a legit passport. So when they asked him about Torred, he just got really angry and said that he goes to Japan all the time for business, and that's his 3rd time this year he went to Japan for work, and he'd been coming to Japan for the past 5 years. And he's like, why am I being stopped? I've been so many times. The officials couldn't find proof of the company he stated he was working for, and the hotel he claimed to make reservations at had no idea who he was. And the interesting thing is that he spoke Japanese and French fluently. So they presented him with a map, and they asked him, where's Torred? He pointed at Andorra, a country between France and Spain, and stated, that's where my country should be. My country had existed for thousands of years. Why is it not on the map? So obviously the officials didn't really know what to do. They can't really send him back to his country because they don't know where he came from, but they obviously can't let him in to Japan. So they arranged for him to stay at a nearby hotel while they tried to figure out what to do with him. And all these guys are like checking up on him because, you know, he's kind of like a strange man from an unknown country. The next day they went to check on him, and he was gone. There's no trace of him. So a lot of people believe that this man from Torred came from an alternate dimension where everything's kind of similar to our Earth, but like with small differences, as a lot of people state, with alternate dimensions. So we don't really know, is this man from Torred even real? No one will ever really know the truth. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing one more next week before I leave to the global round, so that will be it of the series. There will only be 2 episodes, I'm sorry. Subscribe to my channel to stay tuned for the next episode, and check out my special area playlist, which I already put in the cards up there or wherever, and it'll be in the link in the description. So yeah, bye! Roll the credits.